Good evening, friends. Shabbat Shalom. It is night 28 on the Elul Screen challenge, making our way to Rosh Hashanah. Getting closer, just a couple days away. Reading passages from Inner Work, Teachings of Rabbi Shlag. Page 49. It is important to appreciate any connection we have to spirituality. Even thinking about God for a moment is to be appreciated, as the thought comes from God to bring us closer. The more we contemplate and give importance to the thought, the more we benefit from it. Considering the reality of God's greatness, no matter how much we appreciate the value of the thought, we still do not realize how important and valuable the thought truly is. The more effort we make to appreciate what we are given, the more we are able to experience God. Okay, so it is important to appreciate any connection we have to spirituality. Right? As human beings, we could be consumed with any topic imaginable. So the fact that in any moment in time we have a connection to spirituality, we need to appreciate that. We need to appreciate how precious our karma is. You know, the fact that you're on this site right now listening, your karma is precious. The fact that you are thinking about spirituality is a miracle. Like, you're one in a billion people. Even thinking about God for a moment is to be appreciated, even if we're just thinking about God for a moment, as the thought itself comes from God to bring us closer. So as if we're thinking about God, the Rebbe is saying that thought is coming from God to bring us closer to God. The reason we're thinking about God is coming from God to bring us closer to God. The more we contemplate and give importance to the thought, the more we benefit from it, right? The more we contemplate that this thought is coming from God, that this thought of God and spirituality is coming from God to bring us closer to God, the more we contemplate that and the importance of it, the more we benefit, the more we open ourselves to that reality. Considering the reality of God's greatness, no matter how much we appreciate the value of the thought, we still do not recognize how important and valuable the thought truly is. So the Rebbe is saying, considering the reality of God's greatness, no matter how much we actually appreciate the value of the thought in the moment, we still do not realize how important and valuable the thought truly is. Like, even as we're talking about it, we're thinking about it, we're discussing it, if we pause for a moment to realize how much we're currently in this moment appreciating the value of the thought of God's greatness, we still do not even come close to realizing actually how important and valuable the thought truly is. It is beyond our comprehension. The more effort we make to appreciate what we are given, the more effort we make to appreciate the fact that we're thinking about God, that God is a topic in our mind, the more effort we make to appreciate that we are thinking about God, the more we're able to experience God. Right? So the more appreciation we give to the contemplation of God and the thought is coming from God to bring us closer to God, the more we then open to experience God. sort of like a meditation, a contemplative meditation. When we feel embarrassed to be in God's presence while dressed in the inappropriately putrid clothes of, quote, wanting to get, end quote, we merit to be redeemed and dressed in the good, clean clothes of, quote, wanting to give, end quote. Right? So when we actually feel embarrassed to be in God's presence, dressed in the desire to receive and wanting to get, meaning this denotes two things. One, that we are in God's presence, that we're actually open and feeling God's presence. And in that moment, we're feeling embarrassed. We feel embarrassed to be in God's presence, dressed in the clothes of wanting to get, in the desire to receive. That embarrassment itself helps us to merit being redeemed and thus dressed in the clothing of wanting to give. Right? So when we have that mirror turned towards us, showing us our nature of wanting to receive, in the presence, in the reflection of God and God's greatness, in God's presence, that embarrassment itself is an alchemizing factor. It transforms and redeems us. It gives us, it brings us, the embarrassment is the merit to be redeemed, to be dressed in the clothing of wanting to give. Serving a very important person is considered receiving rather than giving, because it is a great pleasure to serve someone important. It is the same with regard to God. The greatest sacrifice is done with joy when serving the most important of all, God. This spiritual state is called Yirat Hashem, meaning awe of God's exaltedness. Our ability to truly give is dependent on our feeling this awe. Our ability to truly give is dependent upon our feeling this awe. This is beautiful. So the Rav is saying, serving a very important person is considered receiving. So if you're serving someone of a high level, if you're serving a king, or you're serving a wise person, or for some a political leader, if you're serving a guru, if you're serving a rabbi, an important person, then that service is not considered giving. It's actually considered receiving, because it is a great pleasure to serve someone important. When you're serving someone, especially someone you feel personally is important, then it's a blessing. You want to be serving them. You're receiving by serving them. So, too, it's the same with regard to God. The greatest sacrifice is done with joy. The greatest sacrifice is done with joy when serving the most important of all, the most important being of all, God. When we serve the most important being of all, God, this spiritual state is called Yirat Hashem, meaning awe of God's exaltedness, awe of God, awe of God's greatness. Our ability to truly give is dependent on our feeling this awe. So it is, of course, it is in developing a relationship with the divine as we open up to God's greatness, as we open up to the majesty of the creator of all existence, and we start to develop a relationship with the creator, and we start to come into understanding of what it means to serve the divine, to serve God. In that state, we recognize we are serving the most exalted being in all of existence, the creator of existence. To be in service to the creator of existence is the highest form of servitude and the highest form of receiving, the greatest joy. So when we make a sacrifice for the King of Kings, it is the greatest joy possible. Because who am I to be able to get the opportunity to sacrifice something for the King of Kings? This spiritual state, this is called Yirat Hashem, when we recognize the awe of the Creator, the majesty, the profound, beyond thought and words, majesty of the Creator of existence, and the majesty of every moment, the sacredness of all things, of all people, of all life, the light that is pouring forth from everything and everyone we interact with. That state is called Yirat Hashem, that is awe of the Creator. And as that develops and we understand the divine's will, that we're here to serve, that we're here to support others in healing and awakening, coming close to God, this is what allows us to give. This is what opens our ability to truly give, right? Our ability to truly give is dependent on us feeling this awe. When we feel this awe, that elicits the desire to give. Because once we're in relationship with the Creator and relationship with the divine will and our purpose here, all we want to do is give. We want to give to creation. We want to give back to God. And that is the transformation. That's how the transformation takes place, according to the Rav. We come to love only through giving. We come to love only through giving. Right? So when we are in this state of Yirat Hashem, an awe of God, and we're in a state of giving, we're simultaneously in a state of love. Our hearts are open. Our souls are online. Our souls are in alignment with the divine, and our hearts become open. And we see love. We feel love emanating from creation, and we feel love emanating from God. And that love fills us, and it overflows and wants us to then give and to give love. So we come to love through that giving. Through giving, being in divine union, in union with the will of God, and then giving from that place, we come into love. That is where love comes in and flows from that place of giving. We reach the state of giving by always making an effort to see the good in others, right? Simple. We reach the state of giving by always making an effort to see the good in others. To see the God in others, as we recognize that all human beings are expressions of the divine. All human beings are on their own trajectory of healing and awakening. They're in their own process. manifested by their own karma in this world. And we see the good in them. We see the God in them. We see how they are part of the unfolding magic and mystery of all existence and the unfolding mystery of God's plan in this world of evolution, of transformation, of healing and awakening. By seeing the good in others and seeing the God in others, by seeing this in others, we reach a state of giving as well. That also opens us into a state of giving. We reach a state of giving by always making an effort to see the good in others. The more we make that effort to see how they're connected to us, extensions of the divine and extensions of ourselves, on the same planet, on the same path, even if they're not aware of it, even if it looks externally like they're on a completely opposite path, or there are enemies. When we see their connection and how they're really at the root, at the core, on the same path of healing and awakening, we can reach that state of giving and wanting to give, wanting to support their healing and their transformation. Final passage. Spirituality means opposing our nature of being concerned only for ourselves, which beautifully ties in. Spirituality means opposing our nature of being concerned only for ourselves. Because, of course, what we just said, if we see how we are just extensions of the divine here to heal and awaken, when we see that we are part of God's unfolding plan on the planet, and we see that others are extensions of the divine on the same path of healing and awakening, that opens us to a state of giving. And that spirituality, in this regard, spirituality is opposing our nature of being concerned only for ourselves. Because once we're in this divine unity, we're in this divine connection, we're aware of God's presence, and we're aware of our purpose here and God's plan for creation, for humanity, then we're not concerned about this one. I mean, we still have to take care of our needs, and we still have to take care of our families, of course, but our orbit of concern does not revolve around this, around me. It revolves around others. It revolves around being concerned for humanity, concerned for our friends and our neighbors and our family, that they too should find their way more and more onto the path of healing and awakening. Hope you enjoyed tonight's teaching. Have a good Shabbat, and we'll see you tomorrow.